Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. It's Colin, and today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new sophomore album from UK indie band Wet Leg. Now, this is the second full-length LP from what was originally a duo from two girls from the Isle of Wight, who have now expanded to include their live band as part of like their official band. But yeah, Hester and Ryan, probably pronouncing that wrong. They are still kind of the main creative force behind the music. Now, their debut album, their self-titled debut album, was one of my absolute favorite records the year that it came out. I think it was 2023. And yeah, I was really looking forward to the follow-up itself. And the singles that I heard leading up to the follow-up definitely made me very optimistic about what the end result was going to be. Unfortunately, I do think it fell just a little flat of where I was hoping it to, but still a fun album, and we'll get into that more when we break down the track list. But before we do that, since I got the vinyl, let's go ahead and do a review of the physical release. But before we get into that, guys, if you could please like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. All that stuff helps out my channel a ton. And now with that out of the way, let's dive right in. Now, I did get the deluxe edition, which it has this cool kind of like 3D effect on the front of the record, which I'll show you once I take the external sleeve off. But I did just want to show off the hype sticker for this particular version. So the actual, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but like this is kind of the 3D effect. So you've got like, just some slight movement. Rihan's face changes a little bit, and then the position of Hester's hands change a little bit. And yeah, for as like soft-spoken of an album it is, I gotta say the album artwork is pretty creepy, which I don't mind. Like, I love horror, I love creepy stuff. It's very off-putting. I think that was like very much the intention behind it. But this, despite the cover, is actually a very sweet album of mostly love songs. The back is just got the album name, so Moisturizer. I don't think I've actually said the name of the album yet, but it's Moisturizer. Looks like the album artwork or album title is written in some sort of pearly white, jam-like liquid, and we'll just leave it at that. But then you go ahead and open it up, and you've got just, again, the album name kind of all through the middle there. And then nothing on this side. It is a gatefold. Oh, no, there is. Oh, I completely missed this when I was going through it the first time. Okay. So, looks like you got a nice little insert with some lyrics on this side. And then looks like just some thank yous on this side. So, not the, not the craziest insert when it comes to like the artwork, but at least they do have it. That's pretty cool. And then I think this is just like a download card. Yes, they got a download card here as well. And then this version of the record did come in a cream color variant. I think they're really leaning into some of those overly sexualized themes, which you definitely hear in some of the lyrical content for sure. This is one of the horniest albums I've heard in a long time. But yeah, so this is the external sleeve. Or internal sleeve. I will be putting this into a better one once I get a chance. I am currently out. I'm waiting for some more to come in. And then yeah, just kind of the cream pearl colored vinyl. Very minimalist on the label itself. So overall, not super, what's the best way to phrase this? It's not super exciting as far as like a deluxe edition goes. Like the 3D cover is cool. And thankfully, it wasn't like all that much more expensive than the regular version. I think it was like 10 or 15 bucks more. So at least they're not like overcharging for it. I will say it did come a week late. So I just got the vinyl in today and the album came out a week ago. So, especially when you're a band that's getting a little bit bigger, I do expect a little bit of a tighter gap just as far as like pre-order, physical release, stuff like that, but not the end of the world. The sound quality is pretty good as well. It's very clean. There's no pops. There's no cracks. The mix sounds fairly decent on it. There's a couple of moments where I think the vocals are a little soft, and that might just be like an intentional artistic choice. I don't know. But overall, I'm fairly happy with the physical release. Again, a couple of things here and there that could be a little bit better. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the music itself. So the album is fairly short, clocking in at about 38 minutes off of 12 tracks. Definitely caters more towards the punk rock aesthetic that they've kind of been catering towards for the past few years. That being said, the music itself, outside of a couple tracks here and there, it's very soft. It's very just like straight driven indie rock. There's less variation, less experimentation than on their debut, which I think is both a good and a bad thing. The album starts off with CPR, which might be one of my favorite songs on the album. It's an absolute killer, sort of like grungy garage track right off the bat. There's some like post-punk influence in it. The guitar is plucky and fun. Drums are a little bit minimalist, but that's all right. It's not like the driving force behind the song. And I do think Rihanna's vocals here, or Rain's vocals here, are probably some of the best on the album as far as like what she's been really leaning into in a couple of tracks, just this sort of like speak song thing that she does. And they've got like some sirens that come in at certain parts that really kind of add thematically to the like lyrical content of the song. I'm not going to get super into lyrics here, as like if you've watched enough of my videos, you know I don't really go that deep into lyrics. But almost every song on this album in some way, shape, or form is a love song, and this is probably one of the most tongue-in-cheek examples of that. After that, we get into Liquidized, which just start off with like a sort of like Pixies inspired sound. Definitely has some of that like 80s indie rock influence to it. The instrumentation here, though, like outside of the obvious nods to some of like what they are clearly drawing inspiration from, is not incredibly unique or exciting. It's still a fun song. It's catchy. It's sweet in some moments. It's bubbly. It's sunny, but it's not like it's not overwhelmingly like mind blowing, which I was really hoping would be kind of them coming out of the gate really, really strong. The guitar here in particular, like it's well done and it's fun and it's catchy, but again, it's just not super original. And I really was hoping for something just a little bit more. But then we get into Catch These Fists, and Catch These Fists is the first single from this album. It's like their big single off of it, and they chose the right song to do it. It's high energy, it's infectious, it's just energizing. I love just like it's to me, it's like the one song on the album that's not really a love song. It's kind of like an anti, like, hey, leave me alone, I just want to hang out with my friends. I'm sure every woman on the planet has experienced a situation that like the one the song is talking about. As a man, I'm not going to comment on that too much, except apologizing if I've ever made you feel this way. I've been married for a long time, so hopefully not. But yeah, it's so fun. The guitars are like, they're kind of wailing in some parts. They're upbeat. They're very just like in your face and aggressive without being like alienating. Drums are super dancey. Like the whole rhythm section definitely drives this song forward. And the chorus is just, again, it's such an earworm. It just gets stuck in your head, and definitely an amazing track for them to kind of hitch this album to. After that, we get into Davina McCall, which is, I think, probably the best of just the like sort of cookie cutter, straightforward, like dream pop, sun pop, indie pop tracks that they have on the album. And it's done well. Like, I think, you know, the vocals here are like very fitting for the style of song that they're going with. Overall, it's a pleasant listen. I do enjoy this song a lot, but based off like kind of what we're getting on some of the later parts of the album, it definitely feels like this probably should have been a bit more of an isolated track, whereas I feel like there's a couple songs that just keep coming back to these same themes. Not that they're bad, it does get a little like monotonous towards the end of the album. After that is Jennifer's Body, and I love the instrumentation here. The bass is super crunchy, the guitars are fuzzy and driving, the drums definitely kind of pick the whole thing up and carry it along a little bit. My only issue, again, is with the vocals. It doesn't differentiate itself enough from like the previous track, and I don't think it fits super well with the more like sort of you know, fuzzy and muffled instrumentation that they have going on here. And then we get into maybe my favorite song, or I don't know, it's a toss-up really between this and CPR, but it's Mange Tout or Mange Tout. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've taken French, so my pronunciation of that is probably terrible. I think it means snow, like snap peas or snow beans or something like that. But anyway, super fun song. I think these are probably the strongest vocals on the entire album. The song is super catchy. It's upbeat, but also like at the same time a little bit downtrodden. The guitar is very jangly. It's got like that classic indie rock feel without being too overplayed. Again, the vocals here feel very like confident and swaggery while also being very indifferent, which I think is something that like she pulls off super well. And the whole just rhythm section is just really, really on point in this one. After that, we get into Pawn Song. And again, the instrumentation here I absolutely love. Great rhythm section, again, right off the bat, some more fuzzy guitars. It all kind of culminates in this very like wall of sound moments at a couple parts. I just wish the vocals went a little bit harder. Like, it's not necessarily like a hard or heavy song, but it definitely goes a little bit harder than a lot of the other tracks on this album. And I wish the vocals kind of match that. I feel like she very much can get that emotion and get that feel in her vocal performance, and I'm just not getting it here. And then we get into probably the most disappointing song on the album for me, which is Pokemon. Not because it's a bad song. Again, I think it's actually a very good song, super catchy, fun little driving track, which is ironic, or maybe not ironic, but a little tongue-in-cheek based off like some of the lyrical content. But I was hoping this was actually a song about Pokemon. But it's called Pokemon just because it's another love song. And one of the lines says, "You're my Pokemon, I choose you," or something along those lines. And yeah, I mean, being a huge Pokemon nerd, obviously, I was hoping for a little bit more. But still a really fun song. I do really like the instrumentation here, and like the chorus and vocals are just super, super catchy. There's a cool like 80s vibe going throughout it as well, especially with like some of the drum and guitar work. And yeah, I really do enjoy this one. After that is Pillow Talk, which again, love the instrumentation here. The guitars are tuned down a little bit. The drums are a little bit more driving. The bass is a little bit more pulsing, even though it all kind of maintains this like steady sort of like post-punk indie rock feel. But my God, are these not some of the horniest lyrics I've heard in a very long time, which again is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely a recurring theme throughout this album, especially on this song. Like, I'm not going to repeat any of them here. Go look them up if you want to, but oh my God, made me blush a little bit. And then we get into the last three songs. And the last three songs, I think, are a fairly weak way to end the album. We start with Don't Speak, which is kind of a rehash of a lot of the like sort of indie bubblegum pop that we had gotten up until this point. Instrumentation, again, not bad. It's well written. It's a catchy song, but there's nothing about it that like stands out amongst the album. Then we get into 1121, which is a super, super slow song. And no parts of it are really good enough to like warrant that. Like, I don't mind a super slow track as long as there's like some moments that like you can really latch onto and be like, all right, this is what they're trying to highlight. And I don't get a lot of that here. I kept waiting for something a little bit more. There's a couple of moments where the vocals do hit this sort of like ethereal high point, and you know, that might be able to be looked at as sort of like the high point of the track, but it doesn't last long enough or is strong enough to really like justify the rest of it. And then we finish with You and Me at Home. It's a fine song. It doesn't really feel like a closing track for me. Like, it doesn't bring me a sense of like resolution to this album outside of maybe lyrically, because it does feel like through all the just like, you know, new exciting relationship horniness that's kind of been throughout this album, this very much feels just like a settle into like a long-term relationship kind of track. But yeah, it does kind of just have a little bit of a disappointing sort of like fade out into black for the end of the album. Overall, I mean, I still enjoy this album. I'm just definitely going to stay in my rotation for a while. I still love Wet Leg. I think some of these tracks on here are absolutely killer and might be some of my favorite for the year. But overall, I am a little disappointed by it. I wish they took a little bit more risk in certain moments. I wish they had a little bit more of like their tongue-in-cheek, like comedic swagger that they had on their first album. You definitely get moments of that, but not enough. So overall, between the music and then like, you know, all the stuff I talked about for the actual physical release, I'm feeling a B- on this. I'm still going to enjoy listening to it. I think that there's been better albums that have come out this year. I think there will probably be better albums that will come out this year. But for a, you know, band who's still trying to find their footing, I think that, you know, it's a pretty solid output, and definitely not as bad as some similar bands' sophomore outputs in past years. So yeah, B-, not amazing, but still a fun listen. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Again, thanks so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this album. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.